XRP family, thank you guys for joining the video for today. So here we start the video with a very interesting interview actually with Fire Chat with CTO of Ripple, Joelkatz himself, XRP Ledger in the future of Web3. Now you have to pay attention guys what he's saying, because all these things are very, very interesting, and it's like a 4-part video, but it's very interesting. I'm gonna go through them all and we're gonna see what he's saying. Okay, so buckle up, let's go. So let's start the first part, guys.
My name is Jonathan G. Blanco. I'm the founder and CEO of Nifmint. We do NFT things and for brands, and I'm really excited today to be able to interview the CTO of Ripple. If you're here, I'm sure you've heard of Ripple. So with that, I'd love to welcome you to David Schwartz. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great. It's great to be here.
Well, let's level set the room for people really quickly. Ripple has been a top crypto and a top blockchain pretty much over the last decade.
Got to correct you to XRP Ledger.
Or sorry, XRP Ledger, thank you.
I get fired if I...
No, I appreciate you the correction. For the last decade. So can you just, I'm sure you've done this in other interviews, but for those of us who are here, can you just give us a quick little overview of the project from that, last decade, and not the whole decade, but like the inception point and when you came into the project?
Sure. Just first I want to say it's great to be up here with someone who takes business casual as seriously as I do.
Got the J's on.
Yeah, I don't mess up for anybody. Probably don't either. So yeah, I mean, I've been doing this since 2011. It's really hard to sort of mentally project back to that time, but Bitcoin was essentially the only game in town, and people were just starting to make clones of it. And I think the first cracks in the proof of work narrative were starting to emerge then. I know it sounds ridiculous today, but the thought then was that anybody could mine, and that like literally while you were sleeping, your PC would mine and you would just make money. And I mean, we know now that's tremendously economically naive. Someone's going to have the cheapest power. Someone's going to have the best ASIC. So it was just starting to not deliver on that decentralization promise, and transaction fees were just first starting to come up. And if the narrative is like be your own bank, no middlemen, it didn't really feel like that. So with a bunch of other people, Jed McCaleb, at the very beginning, and Stephen Thomas, and later Chris Larson and other people. We built a blockchain that we really felt was meant to be owned by the people who were using it.
Let's hear the second part, guys. I know that this is just an introduction, but it's very important because he's saying good stuff, guys. And this is really interesting because listen, we have been here for a decade right now, right? XRP Ledger has been here for a decade. Well, not XRP Ledger, but like he started building this for over a decade.
I know you think that's true of other blockchains, but it's just not. It's just not. The analogy that I sometimes use is Uber. Uber is not built for drivers and riders. I mean, it's built to be good enough for drivers and riders that they use it, but the owners of Uber want to make as much money as they possibly can. And every dollar they make is a dollar that a rider pays that a driver doesn't get. And the owners of Uber want to keep Uber's profits as high as they can. They make it just good enough that the riders and the drivers will use it. And that really is the model of many cryptocurrency projects. So if you look at Bitcoin, the transaction fees are as high as the miners can get them. And the limiting factor is, of course, if they were $5,000 a transaction, they wouldn't make any money because there wouldn't be any transaction. But they're incentivized to produce scarcity. And so we wanted to build a system that didn't have those kinds of incentives, a system that's built for the people who use it, a system that really delivers on the no middlemen. Now, I wish I could say that we 100% delivered on that promise and it's all roses, but I'm an engineer at heart and everything is trade-offs. Everything has advantages and disadvantages. There's no such thing as a free lunch and all of those things. But the blockchain that resulted from that, what we today call the XRP Ledger, has very, very low fees, very, very high transaction rates, and it's very, very it's much more decentralized than most other blockchains. And the reason for that is that fundamentally there aren't people trying to profit off the people using it. And so that's why, like, when I talk to people who are building projects like NFTs, I mean, a blockchain where they're the actual stakeholders, the people using it are the stakeholders, is a very different concept.
So it sounds like the XRP ledger, based off what you're saying, has some good use cases for high throughput, high transaction volume type of businesses. I want to go back to Bitcoin just for a second, as you brought it up. Do you, from a XRP or Ripple point of view, do you see it as an either or do you still see there being a place for Bitcoin as, call it, store of value, et cetera, and then using XRP for more transaction throughput? Is it an either or, winner take all?
What does that sound like, guys? Doesn't it sound like they tried and make
using it. And
they tried and make a digital payment system? It failed the first time with Bitcoin, and then they made XRP. So XRP is like the perfect version of what they actually wanted to make. It sounds just like Joelkatz made Bitcoin. It really sounds like that when you think about it. Like, these people kind of upgraded what already was built, right? And that's what's interesting about this, right? Let's take a look at
that,
third
I guess,
part.
when it comes to how you think of the Bitcoin versus XRP or Ripple.
I think there's kind of two ways that you can look at that. One is looking at the blockchains themselves, and the other is looking at the digital assets themselves, and you kind of get different answers. But I think in both cases, certainly for layer one blockchains, it's not an either or. You might like Bitcoin as an asset, but you don't like 10-minute confirmation times. You can move Bitcoin on the XRP ledger. You can say Bitcoin is the digital asset that I like. I like its tokenomics. I like its volume and liquidity. I'm happy with its volatility. I want to use Bitcoin. That doesn't mean you have to transact on the Bitcoin blockchain. Most Bitcoin transactions don't take place on the Bitcoin blockchain, right? A lot of them take place on centralized exchanges. And then there's the question of, well, what layer one blockchain has the characteristics I like? Does it have low fees? Does it have fast confirmation? Is it decentralized? Is it censorship resistant? And you don't necessarily have to be locked in to the same decision, to parallel decisions. But I also think fundamentally the idea that there's going to be one world currency is just hopelessly naive. I just don't see. And even if you do think that's going to happen, let's say you're a Bitcoin maximalist, Bitcoin, not the blockchain, but the asset. You think that Bitcoin is the be-all, end-all asset. Well, first of all, people are going to want to do all different kinds of things with that asset, and they'll need systems with different semantics. But also, we're not there today, right? 99.99% of the world's value is not in Bitcoin. And so we're going to need interoperability. We're going to need on-ramps and off-ramps. We're going to need all of the same things that the Bitcoin blockchain can't provide any of them. So there's still a lot of work to be done, not in the not right in the bit.
Look how he's talking about having one world currency, and it's not gonna be Bitcoin because Bitcoin cannot do all of that stuff. See how he just confirms that he knows that XRP is going to be the one. Let's take a look.
Sure. And so, in the XRP ledger context, I think a lot of people here know it to be used in banking, and you have some banking partnerships and relationships that you've built overall. Can you walk us through how that works and how they think about that? And then I'd love to get back to the NFTs here after that.
Yeah. So Ripple is a company. It's centralized. We have a CEO. We have employees. We have people who hold Ripple stock, who own equity in the company. It's just like any other corporation. And we wanted to figure out what we could do. We wanted a decentralized blockchain, but there's, just...
Very interesting, guys. So this actually tells you how he knows that XRP is going to be the world currency. The financial sector is completely insolvent, and politicians are creating the illusion of financial stability by faking liquidity. This is why central banks are buying gold and adopting blockchain technology, XRP. Big banks don't have any liquidity. They are literally preparing, guys, and you have to prepare as well. There is a big thing coming. And when everything hits the fan, you're going to see that things are going to start to collapse. And that's when XRP is going to be the solution. But then it's already too late to buy XRP, because right now you can see that a lot of places you can't buy XRP anymore. Why XRP having a high price would benefit Ripple? A lot of people argue that Ripple doesn't care about XRP and just use it to fund their business. Those people need to read this. The most obvious benefit to Ripple of an increased price for XRP is that it increases the value of Ripple's XRP. This means that Ripple has a greater ability to incentivize partners and liquidity. It also means that Ripple can raise more revenue by selling XRP, right? Indirectly, more value almost always means more liquidity and trade. And what do banks really need right now? They need liquidity. Think about that, right? Banks need liquidity. The whole world needs liquidity right now. And XRP can provide that by having a high price. XRP already has each of other characteristics needed to be a good intermediary asset, but it will be initially limited by the available liquidity. Greater liquidity will give Ripple more flexibility to target larger corridors. Look at this. When Bitcoin sold for $1, you couldn't really use them or buy or sell a house. You can now. Bigger transactions require bigger value. The higher the price of XRP, the larger the payments Ripple can target. And this is key for a future world currency. A bridge currency needs to have that. So that is why XRP is going to at least $100 plus, guys. At least. It needs to be that high to make all these transactions that it's being made for. So that's just gonna happen, guys. Thank you very much for watching the video, guys. See you in the next one. Cheers.